Kenny Omega is injured and out indefinitely. A major WWE star is set to miss WrestleMania, and AEW have scrapped plans for Mercedes Moné. Stay tuned for all the deets. So starting off with some rather monumentally bad news here for Kenny Omega, revealing on X last night that he's out indefinitely due to injury. He said, simply said, "I can't really sugarcoat this. I'm out indefinitely. I tried to keep pushing past the pain for as long as I could until it became too much. Luckily, doctors caught me when they did. I'll be here, so in the meantime, please enjoy wrestling." And then shedding more light on the situation, Sean Ross Sapp tweeted that Omega has been ill throughout this last year, including ahead of his match with Ethan Page. He did the match and the promos, but sought medical attention afterward, which caused him to be hospitalized and diagnosed with diverticulitis.
Which isn't something you sort of just work through. That is a very, very painful condition.
It's like a cripplingly painful condition.
We know that that's what took Brock Lesnar out of the UFC.
Yep.
That was one of the main things that caused his retirement there.
Shane had to deal with this as well fairly recently, didn't he?
He did indeed. It's not a fun situation, so sympathies are with Kenny Omega in that one. Tony Khan, though, commenting at the Ring of Honor press conference for Final Battle, saying, "I know Kenny put out a statement of his own and I completely support it, and I spoke to him today, and of course we've been very concerned. Honestly, it's hard to focus on pro wrestling with somebody that you care about, somebody that is so responsible for all of this in so many ways. I don't know if we could have launched AEW and this would have all been possible without Kenny Omega. I think we're all really concerned, but thankfully he's communicating. I think we're hoping for the best, and I think it's taken a turn for the better. The most important thing is he's got help from doctors at the right time and didn't wait any longer because he was in a lot of pain. I'll leave it to him to give updates because he's already communicating, and he's already kind of been communicating, and it's his health, and I don't want to speak for him, but we're all praying for Kenny Omega, and thankfully it seems like there's a good reason to be very optimistic, but we're all really worried about him."
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly serious. Thank God they caught it when they did.
Yeah.
And fingers crossed it means that it's treatable and that Kenny is one day going to return to the ring and be fighting fit. But at this stage, he just needs to focus on getting better. And, maybe slowly we can see him appear again without having to get physical in any manner. Maybe.
I'm really glad, though, that he has said he's out indefinitely in one aspect. I don't want to say I'm glad in the sense of I'm glad Kenny Omega's out of action, because this is a big loss for AEW and really, really sucks. But it means that he is taking as much time as it needs to heal. AEW is giving him that time to heal rather than him going, "I'll be back
in time for this."
For this.
And then maybe not being able to be back, and then it's going to lead to, disappointment.
Exactly. So saying that he's out indefinitely, it really is a crap situation. But we hope that he gets the best treatment and that he'll be back in the ring at some point when he's comfortable and ready.
Yeah, sending all of our positive vibes to Kenny Omega right now, because it's just a bit of a loss for wrestling as a whole, isn't it?
It is, and he's been quite heavily featured on AEW TV again recently. Obviously, the thing with the Golden Jets, he's set to challenge for the AEW Tag Team titles at World's End. Obviously, that match will no longer happen. We're not quite sure how AEW is going to navigate that storyline, but obviously that will be the least of their worries in this situation, as it should be, with Kenny Omega being hospitalized because of this condition. And it really, really sucks to see that means his run at the moment is done.
So, yeah, as I said, sending our best over to Kenny Omega, but moving over to the other side of the fence now, WWE have tested out a new match type last night ahead of SmackDown. According to those in attendance for last night's SmackDown in the arena itself, WWE trialed a new concept called Speed ahead of last night's show going live. They're 5-minute matches with the timer displayed on the big screen and around ringside, somewhat reminiscent of the Beat the Clock sprint matches from back in the day.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the Beat the Clock sprints formats whenever they were trying to get a number one contender. I remember one with CM Punk in it. I think it was the Intercontinental Championship back in 2008. And I find them a lot of fun. So if this is something that they're trialing before the shows, maybe it's just so that they can get the crowd immediately into it. I think we saw Axiom was competing one of the last night.
This is it, right? It's a fun way to get the crowd hot and immediately when you've got that kind of the 5-minute stakes there, but at the same time, it could be something much more sinister, and they could be looking at the cards, the new owners, and going, I know people are saying it's a good show and that, but there's only 5 matches. What if we just condition them for 5-minute matches, and then the whole card can be 5-minute matches.
Really, really long.
And then when the match is finished in like 2 minutes, that's even better. And then we can just do like 50 card matches.
50 card matches.
50 match cards,
that's
sorry.
the dream. Yeah. 50 match cards are the dream, Sam. I want all of these.
As you said, I think it's a really good way to get the crowd hot ahead of the event. And it's I guess you can throw various factors in there that you maybe wouldn't expect to see and see if any magic happens as well.
Yeah, I don't expect to see it come to TV. I feel like this is going to be strictly
It's your warm-up act before the sitcom films, right?
Especially if you're an audience member and you're like, oh, like I'm here for SmackDown.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a big timer on the screen. That's going to engage you more to be involved in the match. Oh, can Axiom beat Bronson Reed or whoever in this 5 minutes? And I think that's a really unique way to do their dark matches.
Bit of a strange thing happened over on the old independent scene last night, didn't it, Fraser?
Damn right they did. AEW World Champion MJF made a return to the independent scene last night at Create a Pro Wrestling's Frostbite 2 event. Now, this isn't too much of a surprise in a sense that this is who trained MJF. MJF is a product of the Create a Pro Academy. So him making an appearance there is not too shocking, but it's still quite. He's the AEW World Champion.
Yeah, your world champion making an appearance at another company is always kind of shocking.
Yeah, the crowd though. There's a video that they put up, and the music's playing, and the crowd are like, okay, yeah, whatever. And then he makes his appearance behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And then they react it's like, oh my, he's actually here.
It's one of those things I would have loved to have been there for another weird instance that happened a bit further back in the day. Mm-hmm. John Cena was appearing for his dad's independent promotion.
Yeah.
I think as WWE World Champion, it was like a favor thing. He came in, he worked the show, had a match or something against their guy. But managing John Cena was Vince McMahon. At an independent date, Vince just comes down to the ring.
Strutting down to the ring.
Chat. Like, could you imagine being in that like small building and Vince McMahon walked out? It'd be mental.
It's like reminiscent of when Triple H appeared at ICW. Like it's
like,
so surreal when you see someone from the bigger stages.
You're from Mount Olympus. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's so strange. It's really cool. MJF, going back to his roots, Create a Pro. He cut a promo in the ring. I don't think we'll see him wrestle another match. He did in May, but I don't think we'll see him wrestle another one here.
Maybe down the line. I'd be interested in seeing it. But moving back toward WWE here for some more sad news. Following last week's sort of match that had, last week's match that had sort of a few nasty spots in it, particularly Charlotte falling backward into the rope and kind of hitting her thigh and throwing a knee all the way over into the canvas. It's been revealed that Charlotte Flair has suffered an injury and is expected to be out of action for up to 9 months, as it was announced on last night's SmackDown. An earlier report from PW Insider stated that there was a talk at Raw that possibly it could be a suffered ACL, but that's yet to be confirmed. Recovery time for her injuries means she'll miss Royal Rumble at the end of January, WrestleMania at the start of April, and very, very likely SummerSlam next August. So Charlotte's going to be out for quite some time here.
Yeah, if the earlier report from PW Insider, the talk at Raw being that she's torn her ACL, that does put her at a very long time frame of being on the shelf. Yeah. That's a possible return around September, October next year.
It's a very serious injury to come back from, and it's one that takes a hell of a lot of rehabilitation to be able to get back to where you were.
Mm-hmm. And the spots that we saw last week, I know we were discussing them, and it was sort of like, it was bad, but she managed to finish the match. She managed to work through it, and it wasn't
I remember
quite
going, maybe it might not be a tear, or at least not a full tear. It could be a partial tear or something, because she was able to continue. But either way, it's not really what you want to hear, is it? Especially heading towards, the road to WrestleMania right now. Yeah,
she's one of the biggest stars in the company. Some people love her, some people don't like her. But going into WrestleMania season, starting with the Royal Rumble, you can expect her to be there.
It's one of those things, though, like WWE talent, wrestlers as a whole tend to be very, very athletically on the ball people, which means they tend to take rehab very seriously. And so because of that, tend to bounce back maybe a little bit quicker than expected.
John Cena.
So we might get a John Cena type thing where it's like, oh, it can't possibly be Charlotte. She's still out. And then boom, she's back maybe a month early or something. But I guess we'll know more as time goes on. But finishing up with some interesting news coming out of the AEW side here from Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful. During a Fightful Select Q&A, he revealed that AEW's plans involving Mercedes Moné are no longer on the table. He said, I haven't heard anything lately besides that that the once working plans for AEW and Mercedes Moné are no longer working plans. So it seems like what we were saying.
All I can hear is Terrence and Phillip.
It's a
Money.
theme, and boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom.
it is. Yeah.
Money.
Money.
But we were kind of joking about this, where it was like, well, it's been a change of regime, and maybe a regime in the WWE camp that would benefit a return of Sasha Banks and Mercedes Moné going back in, sort of on the shelf for a little bit. But we joked that maybe she'd turn up at All In like she did, wave in the crowd. And it'd be like, she's back on WWE TV.
Yeah.
And for me, this is like a big screaming Metal Gear Solid Red Alert,
does
symbol.
kind of feel like it's pointing that direction. It is a shame that plans maybe haven't worked out for AEW because she would be a massive get for the company.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Like, when you think of top stars in the industry that could, shift attention, I would say she's one of them.
Yeah.
And I think it's a shame that if AEW are no longer working on those plans, the key thing is no longer the working plans for it, though, because it could mean that they've got...
It's changed. They may
changed.
still be plans there, but they're not the plans they once were.
The plans that they had that were looking like she was going to be on AEW TV is not currently on the table. It's Rumble season again. Could we see her? I don't know. Let us know where you think she's going to go.
She'd be a monumental surprise for the Rumble.
She would indeed. But again, if she does appear in AEW, I'd be hyped to see what she can do there. She would be a much needed boost to that women's division that I think you can build around, and think the dream matches that are on the table there for her.
It's just so many.
There's so many.
So many. But that's it for your second dose of lovely bumper weekend wrestling news. Make sure you keep it with us all weekend, as it is Docember. And
Yes,
tomorrow at 7 p.m. GMT, The Golden Age Part 3, 1987 to 1990, drops on the channel. It premieres at 7 p.m. So make sure you set a little notification. Just click on the bell.
Click
on the bell. Get notified with everything.
It's down there.
You'll not miss it. It's just down here. Yeah.
Just down there.
Just click on the bell, and then you can see that. And then in Part 4, we're going to be covering sort of the end of the Golden Age, and that should drop on Christmas Eve at 7 p.m.
7 p.m.
So, yeah, Docember is just rattling on, and we'll see you in a bit.